unfortunately, I think it will send significant repercussions across the globe, especially here in Australia. And I think it will be challenged, but unfortunately, it will do a lot of harm, especially tied to federal funding and those type of things. So I think organisations over there will be contesting this. I know there's legal challenges that are going to go forwards, but I think of all the issues that are affecting women's sport, trans women is not one of them, unfortunately.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Ryan. What are the numbers? Is there research to show what sort of numbers are participating in women's sport?
Yeah, so look, from the US context, which is obviously where this is, at a Senate inquiry, the president of the NCAA, which is the peak body for kind of college, university athletics over there across all sports, on a hearing, he actually kind of gave the facts that out of 520,000 athletes competing across 110,000 schools, there was less than 10 trans athletes who were competing. So in terms of that actual percentage, it's very, very low. And here in Australia, I've done research around this area as well. We know that obviously in terms of the trans population, it's around about maybe 1 to 2%, if that. Not many of them are actually playing sport. So this isn't an actual issue really affecting the integrity of women's sport. And unfortunately, not many trans people are actually playing sport because there's all these bans, there's unwelcoming environments. So the ones that do play kind of should be commended, and we should try and keep there, because we know that when trans and gender diverse people do play sport, it positively impacts their lives and reduces depression, anxiety scores, and suicide ideation as well.
Ryan, we should stress that we're not talking about elite sports here, because we heard that, the stories from the Olympics, from various competitions. We're not talking about elite sports. So in terms of community, school sports, which is what is being referred to here, is there evidence that transgender people have a physical advantage when it comes to playing those sports?
No, not at the community and grassroots. So, for example, here in Australia, up until the ages of 12, any child or young person can play in any competition and competition sport, for example. So, sometimes you might get girls playing in boys' competition because there aren't enough girls to fill competitions, and vice versa. So, from a very young age, we can't really say that trans and gender diverse people have these physical advantages. It's only really at the elite level and in adults that we do kind of see that. So to try and ban trans people from participating in school and community-based sport as young people denies them opportunities to be able to develop important social skills, friendships, those type of things. There's no evidence base whatsoever to show, especially amongst children and young people, that they might have advantages, because most people and most schools, etc., are co-ed and boys and girls can play sport. So there's no evidence to kind of support any of this. Even at the elite level, the evidence is still developing around competitive advantages and those type of things.
Where is the discussion going here, do you think, Ryan? We've got Queensland pausing puberty blockers for under 18. There's various things going through their parliament. The federal government has got a review into trans healthcare for young people. With Donald Trump making this intervention, where is it you think that the discussion around this is going?
Look, unfortunately, I think we're going to have history repeating itself with the federal election coming up. So we know the last one with Scott Morrison and Catherine Deves, where they used a platform to protect women's sport, and Senator Sarah Chandler down in Tasmania. I think we're going to see those recycled arguments introduced at this upcoming federal election, which Peter Dutton is already kind of poking those fires, let's say, around the anti-diversity kind of approach. So I think, unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more discussion about this, even though at the last election, and there was some research that showed people don't see this as an issue. They're more actually interested in the cost of living crisis and those type of things. So I think we're going to revisit it. But I think one thing that we do have here, less so in America, is that we have strong anti-vilification laws and we have strong federal laws around these things. So we've got the Sex Discrimination Act, the Equal Opportunity Act. There are kind of strict laws and regulations that protect things. And we have seen some cases where legally around, for example, Giggle versus Tickle, and there's been another one recently where people have challenged these things, and it's the Australian federal courts have kind of sided with trans people, which has shown that we do have strong regulations and laws. So if anything like that was to come here, I think it would be really, really challenged in the Australian federal laws.